Hello and welcome to tutorial 2, how to make a speaker in Google SketchUp. Okay, so again, we're in Google Classroom. You should have already made it that far to this one here, to the videos. My demo is still with ATTE. We're going to go into assignments and instructions. We're going to open our portfolio up again. Now, if you click here, it should open up yours. I'm going to open mine up from the top bar here because I already have it open. It should have your name in it here. If it doesn't have your name in it there, you need to put your hand up and speak to your teacher and get that one open. It must have your name or it's not editable because it's my version, so you won't be able to put any of your work into it. Okay, so get that bit sorted, and then we're going to go down to SketchUp 3, creating a speaker. Okay, so for the speaker, we're going to create something that looks like this here. And the guide, just as before, every step that I'm going to go through is written out on the guide going down here. But it's much easier to watch the video and to follow the video tutorial for this. But the skills for this one are basically we're going to understand measurements, how to add them and check them, and also how to use the revolve tool to create more interesting shapes that I think you're going to quite like. Okay, so let's get going. First thing I'm going to do is minimize the browser there. We're going to open up the program again, so Windows button there. Scroll down to SketchUp under S. SketchUp again, mine says 2018, but yours may say a different year, so click the sort of red staircase, and as always we're going to select choose template, architectural design, millimeters, then start using SketchUp, this one here. Okay, right, so I've got a lady on mine. You may not have anyone in yours. If you've already got the house open, you will need to go File, New, in order to get a fresh new screen up. And you may have the extra tools up already. If you don't, as before, you're going to go View, Toolbars, Large Tool Set. Have to click the square itself, not the writing, and Views, again click the square itself, not the writing, and close. So we're going to delete this person here by using the select tool over here, drag a box over here, and press delete on the keyboard. That's on the top right hand corner for me. It may be different for you, but it's probably somewhere close. Top right hand corner on your keyboard, press delete. Okay, so we got rid of the lady there. Now we're going to draw a box just like before, a rectangle. And this one we're going to again hover over the origin point, so I get this sort of cross in the center. Click once, don't click and drag on this program generally. Occasionally you do, but not often. So click once and just move your mouse to the side, move your cursor to the side there. I'm going to type in 75, comma, again, don't forget the dimensions box is down in the bottom corner here. It tells you what you're writing there. So we're going to type it again, 75, comma, 75. Enter. Okay, now it's really tiny, so I can barely see it. But if I scroll in with the mouse and I hover over that point there while I do it, you can see that it is there. It's just very small. So we're going to use the orbit tool. We're going to move this round so that it is flat onto the screen, or nearly flat on, as long as we're close, that's fine. And I'm going to use the scroll wheel on the mouse to scroll out just a little bit there so I can get it comfortably on the screen. I might even move it a little bit that way as well. There we go. Now, once I've got that, I need to double check my measurements. Now, measurements can be used for all kinds of things, but we're just going to practice it with the double check dimensions here. So I'm going to select the dimensions tool there, and I'm going to hover over a corner, click it once, and then hover over the opposite corner, click it once. Don't click and drag as always. And click a third time to actually lay it in the position I want it to go in. Okay, so I want it to sit about there, looks good for me. And I'm going to do the same again on this side, so click once on that corner. Don't click and drag, just click once on that corner as well. And again, I'm not dragging it, just sort of does it anyway. Click a third time and you see it tells us the distances for things for us to check. So it's 75 by 75, which is exactly what I was looking for. I'm now going to delete that just because I'm happy that it's there, but it may be in the way later. So I'm going to delete that one now. By clicking it, it should turn blue if you've clicked it, and press delete on the keyboard. That's those gone. Now, what I need to do is create a profile, which is just a 2D shape, really, just a 2D drawing on this surface. And I'm using the square as a guide to make something the right size. Okay, so if you imagine I had a speaker in the real world and I had a hole that speaker had to fit into, then I need to make sure when I draw it that it's exactly the correct size, so that it'll fit into another component when I've made it. So let's say I've already built the box that it goes into and the hole's already there. This will need to fit into that space that I already have. Okay, that's why we need the measurements. Right, so this one is, it can look how you want it to look as long as we don't make it larger than this square. Okay, so it does not have to look the same as mine exactly in any particular sort of way. I'm going to draw a line starting from somewhere along the top here in a little bit, and I'm going to go at an angle down to about there. It doesn't really matter exactly where it goes. And now I'm going to select the 3-point arc tool over here on the left hand side, about halfway up, and I'm going to click on the corner there and then on the top edge there. Now I'm going to click slightly. I've got to get it to do it where I want it. I might have to change the angle of the view. Let's pull it across to the side a bit. Let's go back to the 3-point arc. I want a slight curve. You could go quite steep or quite narrow. You'll see how it changes the drawing in a minute. But I'm going to have a slight curve. That looks alright to me. I'm going to click there. Now, as you can see, we've gone outside of the box here, but we can delete that by selecting the select tool there. Click the line, make sure it's turned blue, and press delete on the keyboard to remove that one. I am now going to draw a circle over here. I'm going to zoom in using the mouse wheel there. I'm going to click on the midpoint, which is halfway between the end of that angled line I've got and the corner of the box. So click on the midpoint and on the edge there. Now this is going to go outside of the box, but only a bit, and it's not going to be wider than the rest of the square. It's just going to protrude slightly. You'll see that in a real speaker it does this anyway, so I'm going to allow this tiny bit to go outside of the box. Now I'm going to scroll out and get it back to the center there, again using the wheel on the mouse. Now I'm going to use a line going from here somewhere. Let's go from there, and I want it moving it round is half the difficulty really. I want it probably something like that there would look good for me, I think. Yeah, that there. And I'm now going to go out this way straight. Got to decide how big I want the magnet assembly to be now. Probably there, maybe down a little bit, and then a bit larger, and then down there, in that way a bit. Level with that one, down to there. Now the shape of these details, if yours are slightly larger or longer or wider or anything, it doesn't really matter as long as you can keep it within this box, and this curve here can go outside of the box. Other than that, it shouldn't really be an issue. I'm also going to put a line along here, which you'll see what that does in a minute. A line along there. I could go all the way out through the front if you want to. You can do that. I'm going to go most of the way in and then across into there. So I've now got this sort of funny pattern there that looks absolutely nothing like a speaker. except this is going to become a speaker. So we've now got to delete the lines we don't need. So I can use the eraser tool or delete on the keyboard if I want. I'm going to remove that one there, this one here, this one, that one, that one, oh, there's a line here, and this one here. I'll have to do that more than once. There we go. And there's a short line there as well. We can remove that. Now, it's really important that once I've drawn this profile, that it's different color to the background. You see, if there's any holes in this shape, then I won't be able to do the next stage. If I show you, I'm going to delete one on purpose now. So you can now see that it's completely see-through. That means, let's go edit undo to bring that back. That means that there's a hole somewhere in the drawing if you can see all the way through it. If it's done that, then you need to go back until go edit undo and keep repeating that until you've got to the point where you can fix that hole, or you may have to redraw it again, but it's not terribly difficult to do. It doesn't take too long, so don't worry if that's the case. If you're really stuck, just call your teacher over. Right, so now I've got that. I'm going to do a slightly odd thing. I'm going to change the view of my speaker. Going to move outwards a little bit, get it towards the top of the screen, and now I'm going to draw a line that goes along this axis here. Now, not along this line here, but along the axis line from whatever's furthest forwards. And I'm going to make it go past the speaker. It doesn't matter how far it goes, as long as it goes sort of along the axis itself and it goes past the edge of this speaker. That's all that matters. As long as it goes further this way than it has to. Then I'm going to change the view, and as I said, it's going to be quite odd. I'm going to change the view so I'm nearly, not quite, but nearly on the opposite axis, nearly flat on the screen. So slightly to the side, and this point, this line I've drawn, is sticking slightly to the left of the rest of the drawing. So I can't have it like that to the right. It has to be slightly to the left, sticking out. Okay. Very odd, I appreciate. Let's keep that nice and low there. I'm going to go to the circle tool here, the shapes tool, circle. If you haven't got the circle up, by the way, you can just go down here for circle, and I'm going to click on the end of that line. Okay, and I'm going to make a circle. It doesn't really matter how big the circle is, just there's a circle there, and that it is in that plane of orientation, so that it's basically, if I change the view, it's that way up, the opposite way to the speaker. It's that way up. Okay, we're now going to revolve a profile. So this is going to go from looking like nothing, like just a random shape, into a speaker with 2 clicks. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go across to the left hand side menu here. I'm going to click the follow me tool. Okay, follow me tool, click that once, and then select the speaker shape here, and you must make sure this must be one shaded color, and you must make sure that it selects all of it. If there's any lines that separate this, you'll need to delete those lines, so that whole thing gets highlighted when I click it. Okay, so you zoom back out, so click it once, one click, and now don't click and drag, just click once. I'm now going to move the cursor to this circle, and I'm not dragging, I am just moving my cursor around it. You can see that I can choose how much to revolve of this speaker. It's a very odd thing, but if I get the cursor in just the right position, which is normally on the side here, if I get it just right, takes a little practice, right on the edge there we go, then I get a whole speaker that's complete in one go. So let's click there, done, and now just to check, going to go to the orbit tool and let's have a look around. Right, yep, so we got, it's a speaker, yeah, lovely, just what we wanted. And we don't have any breaks in the surface here. If you do have any breaks in the surface, go edit, undo, and do it again. So click the follow me tool, click that once, and then go over to this circle. You've just got to make sure you get all of it by getting just the right position. It's about here, click it and you get the whole speaker. Fantastic. Okay, now that funny pattern that I left in the bottom here, if I go edit undo so you can see it again, this hole here has become a, well, it's become a hole through the whole speaker now. So edit redo to see that again. You can see inside. I can now delete the circle because I don't need that anymore. So press delete on the keyboard, click it, press delete on the keyboard again, and the line can go as well because they were just there to help me revolve the profile. So I've got that one there. This is a speaker with a big magnet structure on the outside and what's called a VGC or vented gap cooling. We're just going to add some colour to it now. I'm sure you know how to do that. We'll just collect the paint bucket there and we're going to do the drop down box and go to colours. You can choose any colour you like really. I quite like a nice red. Anything you want, you go for it. That's fine. Shall I have my cone in? Nice grey might be nice. Let's have a grey for my cone and then maybe a black for the rubber surround there and maybe a dark grey for the magnet assembly, and I'm going to go for yellow for what's called the spider, which is this sort of part on the inside here. There we go, that's for that there, and we've got the back there. Change whatever colour you want for that. Let's just be silly and have purple or pink or whatever. There we go. Right, so we've got our speaker there. So we just got to do the same as before. Close that one there. Same as before, we're going to have to take 3 screenshots using our tools here. So let's go 3D view, move the cursor out of the way, go to the top left-hand corner of your keyboard and press PRTSCRN, that's the print screen button on your keyboard. Tap that once. Go into your portfolio. Now we're going to go down to, on mine, it is slide 38. On mine, it may be different for you, but it's under the last speaker slide there. So 38 for me, maybe a high number or lower for you. 3D view, we're going to right click anywhere on the page and go paste. And again, we're going to use the crop tool. So select the image, select crop, and you want to use the black bars to shrink it down to just your speaker. Not the blue bars, the black bars. Can be quite fiddly, this, to be honest. And then we want to pop that into the window. Try and get it to fit. There we go. Like that, lovely. And then we obviously want from aside, from above, and those are done by using there's the above button there, and that would be front or back in this case. It doesn't know which you mean, but there you go, there's the front. So we can have the front, so print screen button on the keyboard, top right hand corner, PRNTSCRN. Drop it into here, do that for all 3. So I'm just going to do that quickly. I don't think I probably need to talk you through that this time. Use the crop tool there. Nice and neatly in the space if you can. Print screen button. Okay, so we've got our 3 images in there. You now need to go down to the next slide It says EMA2 or 3, either one. When it's basically the slide that's under the finished speaker here, and answer the questions there. Now these questions again will probably be different from the ones that I've currently got on my screen. It doesn't matter, you just need to answer the questions that are on that slide there before you move on to the next tutorial. Well done.